I'm going to do a short video on my quiver. I use a Wojtek Polish quiver. This quiver was made by Hilary Merill from California Centaurs. And I really like this quiver because it's super fast to load. When I set up my quiver, I put 2 broken arrows at the top of the quiver, because it helps the quiver hold its shape. So when I'm drawing arrows, it's a lot easier. If I didn't have the spacers in it, you see how the arrow kicked out? If I'm on my last arrow, it's not right here normally, because it's not holding its form, so I might miss it. I'd have to sweep and try to find it. So that's why I put those 2 spacers in there to keep the quiver's form. So when I'm down to those last few arrows, I'm not fighting with my quiver. Now, Hilary said to put one broken arrow in. I forget which side, so I just ended up putting 2, and I just like that setup a little bit better. But as you can see, if I draw this arrow, it's still right where it's supposed to be. Okay? So my setup for this quiver on the raid track or the tower track, I always run with just 5 arrows. Now on the tower, I'll shoot 5 in hand and then I'll transition to this quiver, but I only carry 5 arrows, so it's not too bulky. Sometimes if I have a lot of arrows, let's say I'm on the hunt track, it'll hit me in the chest a little bit. So I don't want to worry about that when I'm on the sport track. I use these 5 bottom slots that have the least amount of leather drag when I'm pulling my arrows, because if I were to use one of these top slots, that's a lot of drag on the quiver when you're trying to draw. So I'll use these bottom 5 slots, and on this quiver it's really cool. You can index your arrows, so you can put them all in the same direction. That way when you go to grab, and I'll index it with my middle finger. This is paint, it's not blood. I was just painting my target here, but you can index your nocks. That way when I'm drawing it from the quiver and I'm feeling it with my middle finger, I already know how those nocks are going to be. So like I said, I use those 5 bottom slots. I don't carry extra arrows on me on that sport track because I'm only going to need 3 to 5, or 1 to 5 I should say, unless I'm on the tower where I'll be shooting in hand anyway and then transitioning. So for me, it just helps me to be faster, and I can index my nocks, and it just works out really well. Now when I'm on the Polish track, I'll load her up as many arrows as I'm going to need to shoot, but for that tower and that raid track, I'm just running with those 5. When I'm practicing on my little range here, it's a pretty short Gaussian style range, I'll shoot those 5 blue dots there. And then once I shoot the 5, I'll use another arrow as my counting dots. I'll do a set of 10, so that's 50 arrows. So I'll do 50 from the quiver, and then I'll do 55 in hands for 100 arrows. That little exercise takes me 13 minutes to shoot 100 arrows from this quiver and in hand. So I'll do that once to 3 times a week, depending on if there's a tournament. If there's a tournament, I'll shoot 300 arrows that week just to work on all the muscle memory that I need to be successful on the track. Because if you're loading quick, then you have more time to relax into the shot, because you're focused on that target while you're loading. So if I do that here, like I said, 100 to 300 arrows a week, it helps out a lot. So I'm going to do a Polish track video. Once I'm set up, I got 20 20 plus arrows. You know, sometimes, like I said, when I'm riding, these arrows will hit me in the chest, which is fine. You just got to work through it when you're on the Polish track and you're carrying a lot of arrows. That's why I only carry 5 when I'm doing the sport track. But for Polish hunt track, I'm going to go in loaded so I can have at least 1 arrow for every target. Now, normally you're pulling, drawing, shooting. You know, sometimes if you got some time, you can grab a stack of arrows, and then you can draw and shoot, draw and shoot. Or if you have to get on those reins and you pull it by the feathers, while you're on the reins, you can flip it and it's almost ready to go. And you just have to drop reins, knock, and shoot. So when I'm here at my little range, I'll practice that. Shoot. Shoot. I build up that muscle memory as well, because there are some instances, like when you're coming up to like a crossroads or something, you don't want your horse juking left because you got to go right. You're on the reins, but there's targets coming up. So you really still need to pull, knock, and shoot. So that's why I love this quiver. It makes it super versatile for that hunt track. So that's just one of the reasons why I really like this quiver. And even with all these arrows in it, you can still index those knocks, which makes it great. So it's like a pre-index. You're pre-indexing your knocks, so when you're loading, it's still ready to go. When you're loading, still ready to go. Loading, still ready to go, because you've pre-indexed all your knocks. Great quiver, probably the best on the market.